I wonder what a fully healthy Damian Lillard looks like. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another player review. This player review video is going to be a little bit different. There's not going to be any graphics, and it's because we're going to be talking about Damian Lillard. And as far as goals that I set for Dame before this season, it's unfair to sit here and say he didn't achieve any of them when he was injured. So instead of looking at positives, and there really wasn't a ton, he set a pretty high bar in previous seasons and then obviously didn't reach that bar this year. The only time he did was when he had a cortisone shot, which helped him get through a couple games, and he looked like the old Damian Lillard during those games right after that shot. But then that wore off and he started struggling again, so I just felt like it wasn't really fair to sit here and grade his performance this season or go through it like I did with other prospects. I am going to talk about Damian Lillard and kind of ramble about his situation and what I see from him going forward, though, in this video. If you've missed any of my player review videos, definitely go check them out. Playlist link top of the description box below. Go binge watch them. Go shuffle that playlist and enjoy me talking some good and talking some bad about some various players. Anyway, I don't think this season was indicative at all of what Damian Lillard will have for us in the future. As I said, he got that cortisone shot and looked like the old Dame, so I truly do think all his struggles this year were due to injury. I also think he kind of got screwed a little bit at the start of the season when the refs weren't calling anything, and it seemed like that applied to some players more than others, and Damian Lillard was one of those players where he got fouled numerous times, and even if they were letting a lot go, there was numerous plays early in the season where it was like, you're seriously not going to give him free throws on that? And that definitely made things a little bit harder on him. There was also the new basketball, which they seem to have changed at some point this season, because all of a sudden a bunch of players started popping off for 40 and 50 point games. I mean, Josh Hart had a 43 point game. I forget some of the other names, but there was just guys having fantastic performances. I think the new ball might have affected him a little bit at the start of the season with his shot, but in the end, I want to see what a healthy Damian Lillard looks like, because I think there is a chance that Dame has his best basketball yet to come, especially on the defensive end. And that's what I want to start off with Dame, because that's the most important thing for this Portland Trail Blazers team, is figuring out how to defend at a high enough level. Offensively, they've been just fine with having Damian Lillard on the team. Of course, they had CJ McCollum, he's gone, but Anthony Simmons is going to replace him, so offense isn't really a worry, especially if Dame gets back to being the old Dame and just running the ship and just being fantastic on that end. It's all about the defense for the Portland Trail Blazers. And given the nature of his injury, I'm hopeful that maybe he's a little bit more mobile defensively and can slide his feet a little bit quicker, can play in a defensive stance a little bit better. I'm hopeful that now that this core injury that Damian Lillard had is taken care of, that he can play the best defense of his career. There is a season in the past, I forget which year it was, but there was a season in which he was pretty average defensively and then kind of regressed back to being a below average defender after that. But we've seen stretches where Damian Lillard has been a competitive defensive player. And my biggest hope going into next year is that him taking care of this core injury that he says he's been dealing with for years might make him a solid defender. That is my hope. Fingers crossed for that. Because if that happens, and Anthony Simmons has been competitive defensively, there's some areas that he does well in, there's some areas that he struggles with. If Anthony Simmons, given the fact that he at least has a defensive motor, it seems like, and gives effort on that side of the ball, I think Anthony Simmons can be average as well. If both Anthony Simmons and Damian Lillard can be average defenders, then the ceiling of this team could potentially reach contender status next season. It depends on who the forwards are, assuming that's one of Jeremy Grant and then whoever Portland takes with their pick, or maybe it's Nasir Little. There's obviously a lot of other question marks that goes into the Trailblazers' potential contendership, but if they can be a borderline top 10 defense, they have a chance to contend, given how good their offense will be. It's a long ways to go to get to being a top 10 defense, given the fact that they've been in the bottom 5 the last 3 years. But it starts with the backcourt. If the backcourt can be average defensively and then the front court can be above average, then maybe you're looking at a borderline top 10 defense. Offensively next year, I want to see Dame finally get used off the ball more than he has over his career, People thought to start the season that Damian Lillard was struggling to adjust to Chauncey Billups using him off the ball more, but I think it's pretty obvious that it was just his injury. He shot a good percentage on catch and shoot threes over the course of his career, so I don't think him playing off the ball and potentially getting some open catch and shoot threes is a bad thing at all. Yes, I know he can hit insanely difficult shots, but getting open, easier shots seems like it would be a better thing. It's crazy that people tried to argue the opposite. So I'm hopeful that next year with Anthony Simmons, Yusuf Nurkic, maybe Jeremy Grant on the team, and who knows who the other forward is, that Dame can be used off the ball a little bit more and get some cleaner three-point looks, and then be able to catch the ball and attack a closeout and just drive downhill and expend less energy on the offensive end while maintaining the same impact. And that could save some energy for the defensive end and could just make him an overall better player and make the team better in itself. Everything else in terms of the ball being in his hands and him doing things with it, we know what he can do. I don't even need to speak on it. If for whatever reason you found a Blazers channel and you're not familiar with what Damian Lillard does with the ball in his hands, I suggest you go look up some Damian Lillard highlights. But I think he'll be right back to doing those same things: facilitating, scoring off the dribble, knocking down threes at a high clip, getting to the rim, finishing, getting to the free throw line. Considering refs have kind of calmed down on not calling anything, that part of his game I am absolutely not worried about. Now, the final thing I'm going to talk about is his situation here in Portland and his future. He supposedly wants to stay here, and I'm going to take Dame for his word. I'm tired of listening to people say that the Blazers should free Dame, or that they're trapping Dame in Portland, or whatever. Dame wants to be in Portland. He's said it on record numerous times, so there's no such thing as freeing Damian Lillard. Just respect what the dude wants and let it rest. I don't understand why you still have these Laker fans thinking that they can trade Talen Horton-Tucker for Damian Lillard, despite the fact that it doesn't match salary, and despite the fact that Talen Horton-Tucker freaking sucks and is overrated as hell. I mean, side note, imagine if Anthony Simmons had his breakout season that he did this year for Portland, but did it for the Lakers. He would have been the #1 player talked about on the national media scene. Okay, so I'm tired of the narrative being that Dame should request a trade or the Blazers should trade him in general. I wouldn't trade Dame for anything personally because he's been loyal to the city of Portland. He's been loyal to the organization. You have to be loyal back. Even if it might make sense to make a trade on paper, you do not want to set the precedent of, oh, you can be loyal to us, but the first moment you're out for the majority of the year and the first moment we think we can pull off a good trade, we're just going to ship you out anyway. Good luck getting a star to be loyal in the future if you do that to Dame, okay? Good luck if Anthony Simmons truly completes his ascension to stardom. Good luck getting him to stay if you trade his mentor, who is loyal to the organization, and you weren't loyal to him. That would be a massive mistake and a bad precedent to set, and you're not going to get closer to a championship in the short term or the long term by trading Damian Lillard. It doesn't really make sense. Sure, you could trade him for an early pick this year and maybe a good young prospect, but the team next year is still probably good enough to flirt with the play-in and not end up getting a high draft pick. If they make the playoffs, they owe their draft pick to Chicago, and it would end up in a situation where Portland would just be searching for a superstar after trading away a superstar. Superstars are hard to get. Don't trade a loyal superstar that's loyal to Portland and potentially the healthiest he's been in his prime. That would be an absolutely horrific mistake. Portland's not going to do it. Dame wants to be here. So all the trade Dame talk and people that will come into my comment section or come into my chat saying, you should talk about Dame trades because I want to trade Dame, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm not going to talk Dame trades. I've said it on the record, but I should say it in a video because maybe more people will see it. I am not ever going to talk Dame trades unless he asks out. That's the only situation where I will sit there and talk about potential Dame trade packages, okay? But since he's not asking out and wants to be here, I'm not going to talk about it, okay? So please, just stop asking and wasting your time with that. Anyway, let me know what you think is in store for Damian Lillard in his future here in Portland. Do you think he has a career year next year? Do you think he can be an average defender now that he's healthier? And what are your thoughts on him moving forward? Anyway, this video wraps up the player review series. Hopefully you've enjoyed this series. It's been cool to put out these videos and actually be able to consistently do them. So hopefully you enjoyed it. If you missed any, definitely go watch them back. We'll have some draft profiles coming up in the month of May. Those will kind of replace this series. So hopefully you're looking forward to those. Tomorrow I will have a draft related video looking at some sleeper prospects. And then Sunday I will recap the first round with a ramble video. And then Monday I will have a mailbag. For that mailbag, I will put out a prompt in the community tab, and I will tweet out on the Blazers Uprise Twitter page when I do so. The Twitter page is linked in the description box below. It's at Blazers Uprise YT. So if you want to ask me a question to be included in my upcoming Monday mailbag, definitely be on the lookout for that. Anyway, that wraps up this video in this series. Hopefully you've enjoyed. I'll catch you in the next one. Until then, as always, peace out. Go Blazers!